Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing another manga review. Now today we are going to be reviewing all of Chainsaw Man, or all of Chainsaw Man Part 1, the Public Safety Saga, which is all 97 chapters that are currently available of Chainsaw Man, which are all available on the Viz Shonen Jump app, or available physically, but they're still coming out. I think Volume 4 just released the other day. So yeah, I think it's a total of 11 volumes for all of the manga that's currently available. But since we're only on volume 4, it's going to probably be a year or so before we get caught up. And part 2 is going to come out sometime this year, probably. That's what the kind of consensus is. So I don't know. But this is the first part. We're going to cover all of the 97 chapters that are currently available right now, as of the time of this recording. Now, Chainsaw Man is written by Tatsuki Fujimoto, which is the creator of Fire Punch, another very edgy, kind of interesting, adult-oriented manga that I've seen people enjoy, but that I know has some really weird stuff in it. So, yeah. Now, the publisher is obviously Viz Media, since they publish Shonen Jump stuff in English. Most of the time, there's a few other Shonen Jump stuff that's published by other companies, but most of it, if not all of it, or the majority of it, is published by Viz. So there you go. The demographic here is Shonen, since it is part of the Shonen Jump app, but part 2 is going to be on the Jump Plus web service, so that's going to be different, I guess, but nothing really to it, I guess. So, genre-wise, we're looking at dark fantasy. I would classify it personally as urban fantasy, or kind of like action thriller type of stuff. And there's an element of comedy that is present throughout the whole series. And it's very much needed because it's a very edgy story. There's a lot of depressing aspects here that are nicely put off by the comedic elements. So, I think the balance here is pretty nice. Adaptations-wise, MAPPA, I think, has decided to do the adaptation, but I don't know when it will release. Probably later this year, as far as I understand it. I think that is the window that we're looking at, but it could be later, it could be earlier. I'm not really sure. And, yeah, the premise here is basically there's this, this boy with horrible luck. His father died, he left him in horrible debt, and now he has to pay it off. To the Yakuza, right? And basically his luck ends up turning rather badly. He basically ends up dying, and while he's dying, he's holding on to this little chainsaw devil dog thing that he was friends with, and he inadvertently makes a deal with him. What ends up happening is that he turns superhuman, becoming Chainsaw Man, the guy with a chainsaw for a face, which is pretty badass, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cool. And now he has been taken in by the government agency that is in charge of public safety and demon or devil hunting, right? And because he is partially a devil, he has the threat of death hanging over his head at all times. And now Denji, the main character, must find a way to navigate this new world that has a poor boy living in the boonies and owing money to the Yakuza he has never experienced. So it's a very interesting kind of like story of personal growth, of getting out of poverty, of, you know, all sorts of things, with the very most important thing being chopping up some devils, right? Some crazy demonic beings that exist in this world that are very cool. But I gotta be honest with you guys, this series has way too much hype, allotted to it. And after reading it, and I even tweeted about this, follow my Twitter, by the way, I'm not really sure that it deserves it. Like, I enjoyed this story. I thought it was cool. It was edgy. It was horny. It was funny. And it was a good time, but nothing about it really, screamed best new gen manga, to use, dumb Twitter language. It didn't, appear to be anything the greatest of all time. It didn't really seem like it was anything that crazy to me. To me, it just seemed like a fun edgy manga. You know, like most of the Shonen Jump stuff is really not that like dark. I mean, sure, there's angsty characters and there's sad backstories and stuff, but most of the time we follow the journey of a main character that is happy-go-lucky, that is, you know, sure of himself and knows that as long as he works hard, he's gonna do well. Denji, on the other hand, is quite different, and so I think it was very refreshing. It was very cool, but it's like someone on Twitter responded to me. I think it was a Black Heroes. They have a YouTube channel. I'll link it up in the card right there. If I find it, they basically said it was like watching an R-rated movie after having watched a bunch of PG-13 movies and then thinking that it's the greatest thing ever. Yeah, that's basically what it felt like, and to me, that's why it didn't really deserve the hype that it has. But I'm not saying that it's a bad story by any means. It's actually quite good. I did enjoy it, but it just doesn't, like, you know, feel worth all the hype that it has. Now, I understand that it's very different to read something after the hype has kind of died down versus reading something while the hype is happening, and, you know, the echo chamber effect that happens because of social media and stuff like that. So I understand that maybe the hype that I saw was blown out of proportion, but I mean, it got an anime announcement pretty quickly. Like, I'm pretty sure it was really hyped for like a lot of people across the globe, not just here on Twitter in the US, right? So it just doesn't feel like it deserves that, but I understand why certain people would pick up on it and think that it's pretty badass, because it is pretty badass. It's just not like that cool to me personally. So yeah, but let's just jump into the actual review instead of my general thoughts, because I don't know, I feel like I need to go deeper, right? So plotline wise, it's good overall. It's actually very nice. It's very clear. It's every arc is basically a monster of the week section, and it kind of helps us develop the story. It introduces a new character. It allows us to meet new devils and fiends and, you know, explore the story. And it's all kind of follows its own internal arc within the saga. And this first saga ends on chapter 97. And each arc before that, you know, within the 97 chapters is kind of chronicling the journey of, what's it called? Self-discovery, of growth, of like, you know, the liminal space between childhood and adulthood for Denji, right? That's basically what this first arc is covering. It's Denji finding himself as a person, right? And I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but the first 52 chapters were better than the last 47. Right, no, 45 chapters. And it's because I think the 52nd chapter is the end of the Bomb Girl arc, which I think was the best arc so far. I just really liked it because it really did drive home, you know, Denji is from a completely different world from everyone else in this manga. He, you know, is very different from everyone, and he's not your typical shonen protagonist. I mean, he kind of is in the sense that he's dumb, he loves food, and he's convolutedly overpowered for some random reason. That's basic, you know, shonen protagonist. You know, Luffy, Naruto, My Hero Academia. Well, actually, no. Deku's actually quite different because he's smart and he's a crybaby. But Asta, you know, like a lot of them are pretty similar in that sense. And Denji is not really all that different from them in that sense. But the reasons why he is this way are quite different. I quite like it. It's not a quirk of this kid just being like boisterous and like what Japanese people think young men should be like, but it's more of the fact that he is this way because he never had the opportunity to be to be like that when he was a young boy. He's also quite interested in girls, which is very different. Most of the shonen main characters are pretty asexual or only have you know, crushes as part of their growth from boys to men throughout their story, right? So it's actually quite different. I did enjoy it. It's refreshing. But like the Bomb Girl arc did that best. And then after that, I felt like it was too rushed. Like I feel like we could have had another 20 to 30 chapters developing the other 3 arcs that happened afterwards, which are the International Assassins arc, the Gun Devil arc, which by the way was like the thing that got super hyped up the whole series, and then when you get to that arc, it's like done in a second, and I did not like that at all. I thought that was really poorly done. And then the Control Devil arc. All 3 of them could have used a lot more padding, a lot more development of different ideas and interactions between characters. So I think it was good the first half. The second half, it just went by too fast. Now, I think there's a few problems with this, or there was a few reasons why this happened. I'm not really sure, but I think that, Fujimoto was probably getting pressured to finish the series quickly so he could change to a different magazine, because what he's doing, it doesn't really fit with Shonen Jump properly. Like, it's a little too gory and a little too horny to fit into the usual Shonen Jump series. Especially now where, like, there's a huge push for younger audience oriented stuff and gag manga. So I understand that there's probably some pressure there for him. And the other thing is that he really enjoyed drawing female characters very scantily clad, which kind of adds with the problem. And the over-the-top violence that was present in his story was probably really not, like, viable to fit properly. And there's also probably problems with his health that kind of got in the way. So I do think that the second half of the manga was quite rushed, and I did not like that. I think that we could have gotten 30 more chapters out of it that really would have hashed out everything and would have really nicely made everything fit together. I said that backwards, but I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Now, characters-wise, most interesting aspect for sure. I mean, I already waxed poetically about how Denji is quite different from the usual, but Denji is a very refreshing character, like I've said quite a few times. The other characters are also pretty cool. Power is a very odd character. She's like tomboy-ish, but also kind of like a Hime character, like a princess character, but also like a Ojo-sama character without like actually being, well-mannered and cultured. She's just like crazy, and she like is weird, and I like it so much. She's very odd. I will be honest with you, I did not like her in the beginning, but over the series, especially near the end where we had problems with her character, which was really sad. I really did enjoy her, and I really loved how she actually ended up connecting with Denji quite nicely. She was a very cool character. She was really funny. There was quite a few good gags with her, and like Denji's obsession with girls. It was really funny. Other than that, Makima, I think that's her name. Man, she's like really attractive, and it's really odd because I was like scrolling on Pixiv the other day, and I saw a girl like an illustration of a girl wearing a dress shirt and black pants, and I was like, oh, Makima. But it was not. It was just a random, illustration by a Japanese person, and I was like, oh god, Chainsaw Man really messes with your head when it comes to those waifus. Like, Chainsaw Man's waifu game is really strong. I hate Makima with a passion, but like, damn, she was a pretty hot character, not gonna lie. And Aki, which is the Lancer / male rival character to Denji. He's not really a rival, but he's like a very good character, and there was a very good moment between him and Denji later on in the second half of the manga that I thought was really, really good. I enjoyed it. It was this kind of like metaphorical thing between like themselves and like their forms as children. It was a very, very good stuff. I really did enjoy it. It was super hard hitting. It really did get me in the feels. But like, yeah, there was just a lot of different characters that were introduced and killed off really easily that I really wish had not. Like, Himeno was such a cool character, and I really wish her and Naki and their relationship that they kind of had grown quite a bit and flourished. There was also that what's it called, Xingwao, like the Chinese hunter person that had like a harem of devil girls. Like, she could have been a much better utilized character, but she just like existed there to like have a lesbian harem, and then it was like, okay, we're gonna kill her now. And I was like very upset with that because it's like, dude, this is like a cool ass character. She's badass. She looks visually appealing. She has a very cool backstory that no one knows anything about, and she's connected with all the people around her, like all the people in the public safety, without being part of them. Like, why would you kill her off so fast and just like not use her to develop the world? That was such a boring thing to do. And then Kishibe was pretty cool. I liked him a lot. I wish he was expanded on more. He probably will be during the second part, but I think that there's a lot of stuff that needed to be done here that's probably going to be done later that I really wish was done here. But, you know, it happens, I guess. And Reize, which is the girl from the Bomb Girl arc, and I loved her so much. She was such a good character. I loved how she was a parallel, but also a opposite of Denji in so many ways, and it was so cool. Her powers were awesome. The situation that occurred with her was badass. There was a lot of feels there. I just like, it was really good. I really did enjoy it. The characters were 10 out of 10. Best part of this manga. Still not enough to really get me hyped for it the way that everyone else seems to be, but it was a pretty good series. Now, world building wise, interesting. The devils are super cool. It's a very interesting idea of like devils are a physical manifestation of the fears of humanity. It's really cool. I don't think it's particularly unique. I think there's a lot of different series that have done things like this before, but it just handled really nicely. You know, the gun devil is like one of the strongest devils because many people fear guns, which is really cool. You know, there's devils for sharks, and there's devils for bats, and there's devils for chainsaws, and all types of different things. And there's also a deeper lore when it comes to devils in their own realm, which is hell, and the way that they all interact with each other, and these primordial devils, and these like there's so much stuff there that was just so cool that we didn't get to learn about, or when we got to learn about it, it was very minimal. It was very overly glossed over, and I just did not enjoy that. I think that, you know, this is the first part. This is where the major aspects of world building are supposed to happen, and the first 50 chapters did that pretty well. The second 45 did not do that well. And again, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but it's going to be fixed in part 2. But no, that's the problem. It shouldn't be in part 2. All of this stuff, all of the world building, all of the big major aspects of developing the world and understanding how it works should happen in this first section. So I didn't really like it. I think that the world building could have worked much better, and there was a lot more elements to be had. And of course, those last 3 arcs could have been expanded way more. It was kind of bad. I don't think any arc really went over 25 chapters, which is kind of sad. I wish there was, you know, a longer arc here that really could have helped us develop a lot more stuff here. But again, I think there was a lot of pressure on Fujimoto to either finish this series quickly so they could axe it, or develop enough to transfer it to a different magazine, because there's quite a few things here that really don't jive with the current Shonen Jump. So, pretty interesting. Now, the art here. Now, this is probably the most contentious opinion that I have. I did not like the art. That was pretty poor. Actually, when I say that, I think it's poor in the terms that it doesn't match the aesthetic that I like. So it's actually not bad art. Like, objectively, it does what it's supposed to. It's supposed to provide a backdrop for this very grungy, dark, depressing, messed up world. And the sketchy, very kind of like line art heavy, but very minimal in terms of light and shadow and values and stuff like that, kind of style that Fujimoto has used is perfect for that. In that sense, the art here is wonderful. It fits the story and the narrative completely. It doesn't take an effort to look pretty because it doesn't have to. It's doing what it needs to do effectively. So in that sense, I loved the art from a storytelling perspective. But in terms of aesthetic, I just did not enjoy it. I think it was really poor. It was kind of jagged, and I did not enjoy that. I'm also not really a very big fan of grungy, you know, depressing stuff, because like, I'm reading to escape. Why would I read things that are depressing and sad? I mean, I read them and I enjoy them because I can connect with them emotionally, But that's not really the case here. I did not really empathize with Denji all that much. Or like, I didn't connect with him. I did empathize with his ideas and the problems that he had. But like, the art really didn't help me in that sense. Now, I do want to say that the art does look good when it's colored in, when it's painted. It looks really nice when it's all like nicely done. But that's because the paint and the layering and stuff like that adds shadows and lights and values and stuff like that. And it changes how it looks. It adds a lot of definition. And I think that's what this art style kind of lacked for me. It was all pretty flat. And I did enjoy the usage of like ink. Like there was some moments where everything was really dark. And I liked that because it contrasted with how light all the panels usually are, which is really cool. But like aesthetically, visually, I just did not like the art that much. It actually kind of put me off from reading the series for a while because I was like, you know, I don't mind bad art as long as the story is good. But like, it's a big hurdle to get through before I read a series if the art is not really visually appealing to me. And that's kind of the case with Chainsaw Man. But I am happy I got over that hurdle and read it because, you know, overall, I think it's cool. Fan service wise, there's quite a bit of fan service in theory, but there's really not that much visually. Like, not that much happens. Like, there's this idea that Denji wants to touch boobs and that he wants to make out with girls, and he kind of does that. But I don't really count that as fan service. However, there's some such situations where like it's gratuitously like everyone's just naked, but you know everything is strategically covered, which I thought was pretty good fan service. But again, the art style kind of messes it up a little bit because it's like, okay, cool, they're naked, but like there's no contours. There's nothing about this that makes it look, you know, attractive. But the waifus are strong, man. So like. It's probably like not that bad. I'm just kind of like angry art guy, I guess. Yeah, but there was okay. It worked really nicely, like story wise. It just wasn't my favorite aesthetically, and the fan service was pretty much the same way. It works and it's titillating enough in concept, especially the parts where like it's in color. Those were pretty nice, but like just when it's by itself with no color and very minimal shading and stuff like that, it was pretty boring. But yeah, rating wise, bro, look, I think I actually was pretty positive in this review, and I do have a lot of good things to say, but the fact that it just doesn't live up to the hype is like boring to me. Like why, man? Like, why is this so popular? And something like Black Clover is like universally hated by so many people. It's like, why? How does this work? Like, what type of situation occurs here that allows a series like this, which is, in my opinion, pretty middle of the road, if not slightly better than average, to have such massive popularity, and then something like Black Clover, which in my opinion is 10 out of 10, you know, maybe not 10 out of 10, but like pretty high up there, you know, on par with the big three and maybe even better than some of the big three, universally hated. Like, how is that viable? How does that happen? So, yeah, rating wise, this is a 3.5 out of 5. It's better than average. It's better than good. It's not amazing. It's not awesome just yet. It's pretty badass. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty cool. But, like, I think it's a situation of preference. Grungy, angry, depressed, kind of like, really, like, that kind of aesthetic is just really not for me. It's not the type of aesthetic that I'm looking for in my manga. And so it doesn't, like, vibe with me 100%. It vibes with me like 80%. You know, there's a time when I was an angry teenager when I would have loved this shit. As an adult that is trying to be a good person and developing himself as a kind-hearted individual that is not angry all the time and not sad all the time, because I am not. This really doesn't jive with me as much as I think it does with so many other people. And so that's why I think it's a 3.5 out of 5. But yeah, that's basically it, I guess. That's the full review. Now, in terms of recommending this, I do recommend it. I want to make it understood that, like, just because I don't necessarily agree with this story aesthetically, and I don't think that it was that well done after the first 52 chapters, I still think it's a good read. It's enjoyable. It's fun. It's cool. It's refreshing because it's edgy and it's funny. And the main character is so horny. It's enjoyable. It's just not as hyped as everyone makes it out to be. You know, go in with this middle of the road expectations and you will enjoy it. Now, similar titles here. I think Gantz is a pretty good one. You know, dudes fighting monsters. Well, in Gantz's case, it's aliens and hot girls and, you know, horny main characters. Gantz is pretty much the same as this, but like sci-fi. Pretty cool stuff. And in terms of like the, you know, really damaged main character, I think Devilman is probably a good one. The only experience I have with Devilman is Devilman Crybaby, and even then, I vaguely remember it as like a really odd story. But I think that Devilman in concept, from what I understand of it, is pretty similar to Chainsaw Man, or Chainsaw Man is pretty similar to Devilman. So I think that's a pretty similar book to read. So there you go. Now, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Do you agree with me on Chainsaw Man? If you're a Chainsaw Man stan and you think my opinion is horrible, feel free to, you know, share that, but, like, don't be disrespectful for dumb reasons, I guess. I would really not enjoy that at all. But, yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys later.